Surrey has a secret list of property rules nobody talks about. And once you know them, you'll never look at your street the same way again. Some people are breaking these rules without even realizing it, and others are getting away with it on purpose. And either way, there's a way to set it right.
Today, we're covering 8 of the most misunderstood, surprising, and occasionally awkward rules in Surrey. By the end, you're going to know the ones that actually protect you, the ones that can cost you thousands if you get them wrong, and exactly how to tell whether the neighbor that's driving you up the wall is breaking the law or if they're completely in the clear.
I'm talking about things like simple lawn slip-ups that let the city send a crew to cut your grass for you and then slide a bill onto your property taxes, or the one tree in your backyard that could cost you $20,000.
So this video is for the homeowner who wants to stay on the right side of the rules, the neighbor who's tired of someone taking advantage of the street, or those of you that just want to be outright entertained.
If any of that sounds like you, well, let's get into it right now. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. Hey, before we kick things off, if you're thinking about buying or selling in White Rock or South Surrey, the biggest mistake you can make right now is relying on outdated advice or guessing your next move. The market has shifted, and what worked even 6 months ago could cost you tens of thousands of dollars today. My name is Darin. I'm a real estate professional living and working here in White Rock and South Surrey, and I've been helping families just like yours buy and sell here since 2007. Since then, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of families, many of whom found me right here on this YouTube channel because they wanted straight answers, real local insights, and a strategy that actually works. On this channel, I break down exactly what's happening in our market, what to watch out for, and how to make smart decisions so you don't leave any money on the table. So if you want to stay ahead of the market, hit subscribe. And if you're serious about making a move, there's a link below to book a quick call with me or my team. No pressure, just clear advice so you can move forward with confidence. Here's the thing, people in my line of work notice this stuff constantly. There's this perfect little moment in the show Modern Family. You know, the show where the husband's a realtor? Well, one of the main characters, Phil, he's in a heated argument with another homeowner right on their front step. And even in mid-fight, he can't stop pointing out the little things that he's noticing for him to help argue his case a little bit. Let's listen in on this clip of Modern Family together.
I am so sorry if you any wasted your whole day. And we're sorry what I let do to your...
Yeah, we're above that. But not everyone would be. You should put that beauty in your garage.
I don't have one.
Oh, really? Just out of curiosity, do you not have a garage because it converted it into the guest house where your grandson's currently showering?
What's your date, mister?
I just find it interesting that you'd have a fully plumbed standalone dwelling on your property.
That's none of your business.
Even more peculiar, your grandson appears to live in here, but judging by his t-shirt, he goes to Eden Mills High, an elite public school 12 miles outside of your district. Oh, maybe with the money you saved on private schools, you paid for the new two-sided brick fireplace I saw, which hasn't been legal since 1988.
Stop fans off!
Oh, the sauce, Big Al. On Monday morning, the city's here with a bulldozer, and her grandson goes to the school with a metal detector.
How do you know all this? Where are you, some kind of real estate agent? Hello, he's a realtor. There is a difference somehow.
That's realtors for you. We can't turn the knowledge off. We end up knowing all these strange, weirdly specific things about homes and property, and most of it never comes up until the day it suddenly matters to you. That scene's played for laughs, but the stuff underneath is pretty real. So let's get into it, starting with the one that causes more simmering rage between neighbors than anything else on the whole list.
That parking spot right in front of your house, you don't own it. Not the spot, not the curb, not the strip of road your bumper's been guarding for the last 10 years. None of it.
Picture this. You've lived on the same street forever, and every night you pull into the same spot out front. It's basically yours at this point. Then a new tenant moves into the basement suite next door, and suddenly their car's sitting in your spot. Then their friends start showing up too. So you call the city, fully expecting someone to come slap a ticket on that car, and instead you get an answer that nobody wants to hear. It's completely legal. That tenant, and honestly, a total stranger just driving through, also has the exact same right to that spot as you do, because under Surrey's traffic bylaw, the street is public. Parking is first come, first served, and unless there's a sign saying otherwise, anybody can use that spot. There are really only two limits. One is no vehicle can sit in the same spot for more than 72 hours straight. And 2, nobody can park within 1.5 meters of a driveway. So that car that's always in your spot, well, as long as they move it every 3 days, even just roll it forward a few feet, that 72-hour clock resets and there's nothing anybody can do about it. But here's the part that catches people. That 1.5 meter driveway rule applies to your own driveway too. Park too close to it, trying to save a spot or squeeze one extra vehicle in, and you can still get tagged. That bylaw officer is measuring clearance. They're not checking who owns the house. Now, you're not completely powerless here. If a vehicle genuinely hasn't moved in over 72 hours, you can report it and the city can tag it and eventually tow it. Someone blocking a driveway, also enforceable. But the everyday they're in my spot situation, there's no rule coming to save you because it was never your spot to begin with. So the smart move isn't to fume at your neighbor over the fence, it's to know exactly where your line is. Keep your own driveway clear, don't give them a reason to ticket you, and save your energy for the stuff the city will actually act on. Next, speaking of that new tenant next door, the suite they're living in, well, it might not even be legal, which brings us to number 2. So your new neighbor's basement suite. Let's talk about it. Here's what almost nobody realizes. There are very specific rules about what counts as a legal suite, and a lot of suites out there quietly break them. In Surrey, you're allowed exactly 1 secondary suite in a primary residence. Just 1. It can't take up more than 40% of the home's living space either. It can't be on its own separate title, and normally it has to come with 1 off-street parking spot for the tenant, so they're not just dumped onto the street. But, and this ties back to that parking mess we just discussed, for homes near frequent transit, the city just recently scrapped that parking requirement altogether. 0 spots required. So if your once quiet street is suddenly becoming bumper to bumper, that rule change is a big part of why. Now here's where it gets interesting for you. What if the suite next door isn't legal at all? Maybe it's a second suite crammed into a house that's only allowed 1. Maybe the whole thing was built with no permits, no inspections, no proper wiring, no nothing. And that happens far more than you think. In fact, a lot of the suites in Surrey are unauthorized and illegal. Well, unlike the parking situation, this time you're not powerless. You can report it. You can file a complaint with the city. And this is the important part. Your name stays confidential. They send a bylaw officer to inspect. And if that suite isn't permitted, the owner gets told to bring it up to code or to shut it down. Multiple suites in one house, the city will move to close them. Fair warning though, this isn't instant enforcement, it's complaint driven, and the city's stretched thin, so it can take some time. Nobody's bulldozing anything next week, but the pressure is real. And if you're on the other side of this, if you're the one with a suite that's unauthorized, illegal, or you have multiple suites in your home, you're going to want to pay attention because this is where it gets expensive. An unregistered suite can cost you $1,000. Build one without permits, and the city's enforcement team can come after you for up to $50,000 per offense, plus the cost of tearing the whole thing back out. Plus, if there's ever a fire or someone gets hurt down there, your insurance can flat out deny the claim. And an illegal suite can tank your home's value when you go to sell. One myth to kill right now as well is paying that extra secondary suite utility bill on your property taxes. That doesn't make your suite legal. It just means you're paying more. Tons of people think those are the same thing and they're not. So whether you're trying to fix a problem next door or make sure you're not sitting on one yourself, now you know the difference between a suite that's legal and one that's a 5-figure mistake. Which brings us to another way that a house turns into something that it's not supposed to be. The neighbor running a business out of theirs. This one's for everybody who's ever side-eyed the neighbor running a business out of their house, because here's the rule. In Surrey, you are allowed to run a business from home, but it's supposed to be basically invisible. The city has 2 flavors of this. The looser version, only your immediate family can work there. You can't sell or display anything on site. The business can't take up more than 1/4 of 1 floor of the house. And this is the big one. There can be no sign and no evidence of the business visible from outside at all. The stricter version is exactly what it sounds like. Basically just a phone and some paperwork, no signs, and you can't even store work vehicles or equipment on or near the property. So let's use a real one. Say your neighbor runs a tutoring business. All afternoon, kids are coming and going, cars parked up and down the street nonstop. And you think, there's no way that's allowed, right? Well, here's the part that surprises people. It probably is allowed. The bylaw doesn't say a single word about clients coming and going, and it definitely doesn't control where their cars parked because remember, that's a public street. First come, first served. So as long as your neighbor isn't sticking a sign in the yard, hiring outside staff, selling product out the front door, or storing work trucks on the lot, they're likely completely on side. And those cars, perfectly legal. Now, If they cross one of those lines, a sign goes up. There's an employee who isn't family. Customers are pulling in to buy and pick up product. Equipment starts piling up outside. That's a totally different story. That's reportable. Same as the suite. Confidential, complaint, the city investigates. But if it's just clients in their cars, there's nothing to enforce. Nobody breaking anything, which I know isn't what the annoyed neighbor wants to hear, but it's the truth. And the flip side, if you're the one running something from home, keep it invisible. No sign. Family only, nothing sold on site. And if you're in that stricter category, don't even park the work van out front. Now, speaking of what's going on behind your neighbor's fence, let's talk about the house that's quietly turned into a small zoo. Before we get into number 4, though, just a quick heads up. If you're even thinking about buying a home anywhere in BC, you're going to want to grab a copy of our free guide, 18 Grants and Rebates for Home Buyers. We pulled together every program we could find, federal, provincial, and even some lesser known local ones, plus links, tips, and simple ways to actually use them. Most of these are buried, confusing, or completely missed by buyers, and this could save you thousands. It's free, and you can download it right now using the link in the description of this video. Okay, let's jump back into number 4. So you've got that house on the block, the one with the rotating cast of animals, dogs barking at all hours, a few too many cats in the window. If you at some point wonder, is there actually a limit? Well, there is, a hard one. In Surrey, you can keep a maximum of 6 companion animals on a single property total. And within that 6, there's no more than 3 dogs and no more than 5 cats. So the neighbor with 4 dogs already over the line. Doesn't matter how well behaved they are or how big the yard is, 3 is the cap. And here is a separate one that catches people. The number isn't the only thing that matters. If a dog's barking, howling, or whining is bad enough to disturb the peace of the neighborhood, that's its own violation, even if it's just one dog. So the dog that goes off at every morning at 6 a.m., well, that's not just annoying, that's reportable. Now, the fun part, Surrey also has a whole list of animals you flat out cannot keep, and some of them will surprise you. Bears and monkeys, sure, obviously, but also pet raccoons, no skunks, tarantulas, or black widows. And this one gets people, no hedgehogs. I don't even know why that was created, but hedgehogs are banned. And this technically no saltwater fish either. Your buddy's reef tank, not on the approved list. But before you panic about your own little zoo, some good news. On a big enough lot, you're actually allowed up to 4 backyard hens. So chickens, yes, hedgehog, no. Don't ask me to explain it. Oh, and if a dog's ever officially deemed dangerous, the rule gets serious fast. The owner needs $500,000 in liability insurance, a muzzle in public, and a warning sign at every entrance of the property. So what can you actually do? If the neighbor's clearly over the limit, or a dog's barking the whole street awake, or they've got something exotic that shouldn't be there, you can report it confidentially. The fine runs up to $2,000 with every single day, counting as a separate offense. And the flip side, as always, count your own pets. If you've quietly crept up to 4 dogs, you're the one who's offside. And you have to be aware, if you've got a suite, you've got dogs upstairs and dogs downstairs, make sure you don't go over that limit. Now, let's step back out to the front of the house, to your lawn, and that simple mistake that lets the city send a crew over to mow it for you.
All right, your front lawn. Most people have no idea this number even exists, but there's a legal maximum height for your grass in Surrey, and it's 20 centimeters, about 8 inches. This is 8 inches. You can see that's kind of tall, but really even not that much. So let your grass grow past that, and on paper, your lawn is officially unsightly. Now, if unsightly sounds harmless, it is not. Here's what it unlocks. If your grass is over the limit of 8 inches and you ignore the city, they can send their own crew onto your property, cut it for you, and then add the bill to your property taxes. Let me say that again. The city mows your lawn, and you pay for it through your taxes.
Now, to be fair, this doesn't happen overnight. Here's how it actually works. Someone complains or an officer spots it, and the city serves you a notice to deal with it under a deadline. Ignore that notice, then they do the work and send you the bill. And if you don't pay it by the end of the year, it gets rolled straight into your property taxes as arrears. On top of that, the fines for an unsightly property run up to $10,000, with each day counting as a separate offense. And it's not just tall grass, dead landscaping, heavy weeds, a yard yard that's gone feral, all of it falls under the same rule. So picture the classic version, the neighbor who heads south for the whole summer. And by August, their lawn looks like a hayfield, knee-high, seeding into everyone else's yard, or the empty house on the corner slowly turning into a jungle. That's exactly what a bylaw is built for. And yes, you can report it confidentially, and the city can force the cleanup and handle it themselves. Now, the flip side is simple. Don't be that house. Keep it under 8 inches. And if you're going away for a stretch, line up someone to cut it while you're gone, because the alternative is the city doing it for you on their schedule at their price. Now, let's talk about something that drifts over the fence, whether you like it or not, and that's smoke. Number 6. Here's one that basically surprises everyone, including smokers who think they know the rules. In Surrey, you cannot smoke within 7.5 meters of any doorway, window, air intake, or patio. 7.5 meters. That's about 25 feet. And one of the strictest buffers in the entire Lower Mainland. Most places top out at about 6. And it's not just cigarettes. The rule covers anything you light and burn, cigars, and yes, cannabis and vaping. So that quick smoke right by the front doors of buildings or just outside the office technically are offside. You're supposed to be a full 7.5 meters back. Now, here's where I have to manage your expectations a little bit, because this is the part that people get wrong. If you're in a condo or a townhouse and your neighbor's smoke is drifting onto your balcony or in through your window, that's almost certainly not a city bylaw problem. That's a strata problem. The city's buffer rule is really about doorways, windows, intakes, and public patios, not what your downstairs neighbor does on their own balcony. For that one, you're going to go to your strata council, not bylaw enforcement. A lot of people waste a phone call learning the hard way. So the practical version, out in public, near entrances and businesses, that 7.5 meter rule is real and enforceable. Inside your own building, that's a strata matter run by your strata's own bylaws. Two completely different and separate worlds. And the flip side here, if you're the smoker, just know that right outside the door is actually where you're not supposed to be. Back it up. Now, that's something that can drift across property lines. Let's talk about something you can't even touch, though, and it's standing right in your own yard. And that one tree could cost you $20,000.
This is the one that makes people's jaws drop because it feels so wrong. You'd assume a tree growing in your own backyard is yours to deal with however you want. Your property, your tree, right? Well, not in Surrey. Once a tree gets big enough, about 30 centimeters across the trunk, roughly a foot, measured at chest height, it becomes protected. And that means you need a permit to take it down. But it goes further. For special categories, what the city calls significant or heritage trees, you need a permit even to prune it, not remove, prune. And the fines are not a slap on the wrist. Cut or damage a protected tree without a permit, $3,000. A specimen quality tree, $5,000. A significant or heritage tree, up to $20,000. And that's per tree. But here's the brutal part. Each tree is its own offense, and every day the violation continues counts as another separate offense on top. It stacks.
So picture it, a homeowner gets sick of the giant tree blocking their view of Mount Baker, or dumping leaves in the pool every fall. They call a guy with a chainsaw, get it done on a Saturday, no permit, no questions, and Monday morning they're staring down a 5-figure fine for the tree that was technically theirs. And even when you were allowed to remove one, you're often required to plant 2 replacement trees for the one you took out, or pay the city cash instead. There are real exceptions if the tree's dead or dangerous or right up against your foundation, but you still generally have to get that cleared first. Don't just freelance it. Now, the neighbor's tree branch hanging in over into your yard, you're allowed to trim those branches back to the property line as long as it's done properly and it doesn't kill or endanger the tree. But that's a civil matter between the two of you, and the city won't referee it. And whatever you do, don't touch the trunk. So the rule of the thumb, before any saw touches a decent sized tree, make one phone call and find out if it needs a permit. A free question beats a $20,000 answer. Now, that's an expensive mistake you can make all on your own. This last one breaks the pattern completely. And it's not even a city bylaw, and yet it might be one that people try the hardest to cheat because the stakes feel personal. Number 8. All right, this last one's a Surrey school district policy, not a bylaw. And it all comes down to one thing: people trying to get their kids into the right school. Here's the deal. Everyone knows certain schools have better reputations, and which one your child can attend is decided entirely by your home address and the catchment it falls in. So every year, parents try to borrow a better address. Grandma's house is in the good catchment. Friend's place a few blocks over the boundary. Just put that address right on the form, right? Well, not so fast. fast. The district makes this genuinely hard. To register, you don't just write down an address, you have to prove you live there, and junk mail doesn't cut it. They want government issued photo ID showing that address with the parent's name on it, your driver's license, your BC services card, plus hard proof like a signed purchase or rental agreement or a real utility bill, hydro, gas, cable, you know the stuff, which means to actually fake it, you can't just fib on a form. You have to change the address on your driver's license and reroute your household bills to that relative's house. That's not a little white lie anymore though. That's straight up fraud on paper with your name on it. And if you get caught, and districts do check, your child can lose that spot even after they've started, even after they've made friends. You'd be gambling with your kid's whole school year on a forged address. Here's the realtor's take though. This is exactly why certain catchments quietly command a premium. People will generally pay more to live inside the right boundary because the legitimate version of getting into the good school is just living there. So why does all of this matter? Whether you're buying a home, selling one, or simply living alongside other people, these 8 things quietly shape your day-to-day in ways most people never see coming until they're already dealing with the fallout. Understanding them ahead of time is what saves you money, stress, and a whole lot of unpleasant surprises down the road. Now, there's one thing I didn't really dig into here. We did a little bit, but that's strata. The rules have changed so much over the years that even longtime owners get them wrong. And these aren't minor details. A wrong assumption about living in a strata can cost you the perfect home because you just think you can't actually buy it, or it could land you in serious trouble once you've already bought it. Or maybe you live in a strata and you think you know the rules, but you simply don't. And if you want to know exactly what's changed and what to watch out for, well, the good news is that's coming up in the video coming up right now. I've seen buyers walk away from the perfect home because of rules that don't even exist anymore.